unapologetic news.
I can't even go on social media anymore without seeing at least one full-grown adult who is having a complete fit about self-checkouts. I don't understand it. It's people our age, 20s and 30s, who just seem to be absolutely terrified of using self-checkout. Now, I can understand if, like my dad. My dad doesn't want to use it because he never learned how to run a computer, right? He doesn't want to go there, be embarrassed, have to figure it all out. I understand that, but it's crazy that people who have an iPhone in their pocket can't figure out the benefits nor how to use self-checkout.
So simple.
But yeah, it seems everyone falls on one of two sides of this subject, right? So it's either you see the technological leap that's happening, why it needs to happen, or you fall underneath the "they took her Jeeves," which is kind of crazy because it's my understanding that they're not firing cashiers. They're putting them somewhere else.
Yeah, that store still has the same amount of employees it's had forever.
Exactly. And it would be different if we were in like a job shortage. But we're not in a job shortage. We're in a worker shortage.
Yeah.
No one wants to work. Every tradesman I know, like drywall, framers, welders, anything, they cannot get enough people, and those jobs pay extremely well. So that argument is crazy. I do think I think it's laziness.
Yeah, it is.
It's just, I want to stand there. I want to have someone do all the work for me. But for example,
get paid the same.
Right. If I go to self-checkout, I'm going to put like 2 deals of milk, 6 other things in a triple bagged bag, and I'm going to walk out of there with 4 bags. But if I run through the actual, toddler checking me out or the elderly person, they're going to individually bag almost everything. And I'm going to have 16 bags to carry in on my own when I get home. We also have to think that we are in the middle of a piece of history because way back in the early 1900s, you weren't even able to shop for your own groceries. It wasn't until 1916 when they opened it up and you could freely go inside a grocery store and shop. Prior to that, you would have a list you would go with. You'd give it to the shopkeep. He'd go grab all the stuff for you, similar to what they're doing at Walmart now. It's coming back in trends. And then I think the one most people could relate to is up until even the mid-1960s, it was prohibited to pump your own gas due to fire code regulations. So at some point, they realized we need to be able to expand these gas stations from general stores. We need to add more pumps. We can't keep an attendant. So all that changed to where they could sell more gas, expand the gas stations to what they are now, which is a little store that has at least a crappy version of, well, more or less everything.
Right.
And people just cannot see that this is something that needs to happen. Here's what I like. Is what's that saying? I know you had to have seen it. It's they're basically like, if you didn't train me to do the job, don't you dare check to see if I did it right.
Yeah.
Like they're talking about people getting stopped as they're exiting Walmart. I saw a video of a young lady. She was stopped and they did the same thing they've been doing at Sam's Club for like 30 years. They're like, we're going to grab your receipt. We're going to check like 2 items or something. Hassle, yeah. Big deal, no. So she pulls her phone out, which, by the way, is a dumb thing to do. Everyone's so eager to have that social media fame, but don't want to do anything to achieve it. So they make a situation out of nothing and pull their little phone out.
Right.
So she starts going off on this fella, telling him what he can and can't do. And bear in mind, this guy was a dick, the guy who worked at Walmart. But it doesn't change anything. The fact remains that in the nation, each state's a little bit different, but there's a more or less blanket law called shopkeeper's privilege. And the way that works is, now this started when a shopkeeper was typically like an owner operator of a general store. But if they have any reason to believe that you even may have stolen something, they have every legal right to actually physically detain you and keep you there till the police arrive. I can remember when I was a kid, we used to shoplift everything, right? So we'd go into Walmart and they had the video games in glass cases, a little different than they do now. And we would put this little sort of like a modified pry bar in and just pop those cases. So it was loud, pop, and we'd snatch and grab. But now we're in the middle of the store, right? So we got to make it out of Walmart, out of, to the parking lot, into the vehicle, get out of the parking lot before the police or anyone else. Well, there was one Walmart we didn't do that to because not only were the cart pushers able to detain you, they were encouraged to just beat the living hell out of you 5-on-1. And I got into a legal situation with that, and that's how I learned about shopkeeper's privilege. It's a real thing. They can legally do it. I know it's not the Karen-approved opinion.
Right.
They can detain you at any point that they want if they think you're shoplifting, and by not showing your receipt. That's exactly what they're going to have suspicion of. Now, by the way, I don't care what you do. You can tear your receipt in half and piss on his feet. You know, it makes no difference to me. But they can actually detain you.
Yeah, and I don't get it too with these people wanting to make a scene out of it. Yeah, it's a little tedious and annoying, but I mean, if you didn't jack nothing, what do you got to fucking worry about? Let them see your shit real quick and be on about your way. A lot of this is, I think, just people wanting to make a video. And
now, have you ever stolen anything from self-checkout?
yes,
I have as well. I remember before I came up, I couldn't afford my dog's good dog food. So I would just put either a different sticker on it or just not scan it at all, because it was worth getting that charge to not have to feed my dog's dog food that could potentially harm them. So I was jacking the Blue Buffalo. So when self-checkout came, I was an early adopter because I'm like, all right, I can't afford everything in my cart. I remember one time I did it right, and I'd just gotten a new card. So I got a cart full of stuff, and I'm trying to pay and get out because I had, a couple items I didn't actually scan. They didn't activate the card at the bank, I guess. So now I got a cart full of stuff, and this woman's like, okay, the self-checkout helper's like, okay, so we're going to push this over to the side, run to the bank and back. So I got to run to the bank, have them activate the card, run back, not knowing if they know that I didn't scan stuff that is currently in the cart sitting at customer service. Do you ever have any close call, or were you just like jacking brewskis or something?
no, not beer or anything like that. Usually it's probably food-wise, anything.
Yeah, I could see that. People not being able to afford food. Now, I don't know if everyone knows this, but whenever they have like the self-checkout worker, the person who stands there, they have one of those little like handheld PC cell phone looking things. They can actually see. They can tap into the camera and watch live if they want, but they can see every item you've scanned.
Yeah, they've upgraded a bit now where the machine will go off. Like if you run it across and it doesn't scan, it'll pick it up. It's like, yeah, we saw you do that, but it did not pick up the scan, and it'll shut it down. The worker has to come over and reset it, and they'll check if it actually scanned or didn't.
See, they didn't used to have that.
Yeah,
because when I was doing the
now.
dog food thing, I would just like run it over. Typically, like if the barcode's down here, I'd run it over sideways and get it in the bag, So yeah, they are on it. Here's what's crazy. Everybody's talking we're going to boycott Walmart, right? But here's the thing. You're too fat, right? And Walmart has all the delicious snacky cakes and the good food you can't get at like a butcher, for example. So before long, when there are no actual attendant checkouts, you're still going to be there. You're still going to be buying all that slop you slobber down your throat. And the world is going to continue on just like, you got to think, those people who are pumping gas, it was halfway through a current generation, I'm sure, at some point. And they were like, oh, we have to pump gas now? Well, that sucks, but it's not 2023 and we're not a bunch of pussies.
Right.
So we're just going to pump our gases and move on with our lives because it does not matter.
Yeah, and that self-checkout, I like it. I prefer it over running through, standing in line, waiting on someone to ring me up. And like you said, they're going to bag everything individual. Self-checkout, you scan it, pay, you're out.
Yeah, I can't remember the last time.
It's not like you're having to sit there, work a computer, type shit in, and like
No.
it's not complicated unless you want to look up an item when you're buying like produce or something.
That's the only thing that still kind of gets me is some stuff of how to turn that the scanner into the scale if I'm doing bananas, and it sometimes get
It usually just pops up, says weigh this, and you set it down, and that's that.
I haven't bought bananas in a while, but at one point, yeah, I couldn't figure it out. So maybe they've adjusted that as well. You got anything else to add to this current cuckoo of a situation?
I don't think so.
All right, so I think in closing,
Grow up, quit being pussies.
there you go. Bag your own groceries. Don't be a Karen, and quit pulling out your cell phones. No one cares. You'll get your 12 minutes of fame, but then every time anybody Googles you for a job interview, you're just going to be that asshole.
I will say this. The guy that you're filming that's doing his job, you're making out to seem like the bad guy. People are going to come to that store and be like, oh, that guy's a piece of shit. It's not
Yeah,
on
he
TikTok.
has no choice.
Yeah,
he's
just
making
doing his job.
minimum wage. You know what I mean? Saying, I don't want to do this neither, but if I don't do it, I'm not going to be able to provide for, whatever he has to provide for. So quit being cocksuckers. You cocksuckers. Good night.
Non-apologetic news.